Once upon a time, two retired teachers decided to convert their garage into a pottery studio. Along with their daughter and son, they built a business around the idea that the world could use a little more art and a lot more artists. We're the Kaya family. Welcome to Wocky Pots. Hi everybody, how you doing? How you been? How are things? Shane and Diana here with a slightly delayed edition of Coffee Time. This is number 28 now, right?
It is number 28.
Yay.
Today is June 10th.
June the 10th. We are a little bit late. A couple things of note. First of all, sorry about being a day late, you guys.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff happening. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you see us flailing around like crazy, we had the studio doors open yesterday and we had some unexpected visitors. So we have a couple of houseflies that are buzzing around in here and they are driving us bonkers.
Yes.
Don't worry, we'll get rid of them, but that's the explanation.
I'm considering playing badminton with flies.
Yeah, really, badminton. There's one right there. See him?
Yes, I see him.
Anyway, we're going to try to keep them from distracting us too much. Now, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. What are we going to talk about today?
Alrighty, well, let's get started talking about last week because we had a sugar bowl class last week.
That was so much fun.
It was a great time.
Yep. If you look above my shoulder over here, you might be able to see them. Those are the sugar bowls that people made when they came to the class, and they are just simple cylindrical vessels with a lid on top. But it was great how they all did something different and imaginative with their own.
Each
bowls.
one was different, and
I'll show some pictures of them closer so you can see what the folks did. It was really great.
Yeah, we had a grand time with them. And we made a lot of pieces last week.
We did.
We made 30 pieces. I got up our new June goal up there, so that's showing our nice big wide orange band. So you want to talk about maybe some of the pieces you made last week?
Sure. I didn't do a lot. I basically only had one real day where I worked at the wheel, and I didn't work on the wheel all day, but I did make a couple of cool things. Probably the most notable new thing that we made, or that I made, was the dog bowl right here. And I'm definitely going to make some more dog bowls in the future, but I don't know if I'm going to make them on the wheel. This one I made on the wheel, and it's just fine. It's just maybe a little smaller than what I would like to make, but it's great. I've got a vase here and a couple of cups. I have one cup with a handle, and I have a thumbprint cup here that has an indentation for your thumb. It's very comfortable to hold. But one thing that I did do is there were a couple of cups that I made that I had intended to put nice curvy handles on. And what I found out was it's too dry in the studio for the amount of time that I let them sit. I didn't have them completely sealed up in plastic. They sat too long and they got too hard for me to add a handle to. And that's okay. It happens sometimes. I had a choice when that happened. I could either reclaim the clay or just keep them as handleless vessels. And I decided to go with that because they're not bad forms at all. I'm not disappointed with how the forms turned out. So that's probably what I'll do.
And that reminds me, you had talked about making a damp box.
Right. So a damp box is something we would make it out of like a big plastic tote. We would put plaster in the bottom. And we would keep the plaster damp. We would spray it with water, keep a little bit of water at the very bottom of the tote. And that would maintain a constant humid atmosphere inside the plastic box and help us preserve our pieces so they can be worked on for a longer period of time. It isn't difficult to do. It's just something that I haven't yet done. And if it keeps staying dry here in the studio, we might have to think about doing something like that.
I guess a lot of the reason it's so dry right now is where we're running the AC.
Right.
Because of the heat outside, and it's taking that bit of moisture. And I know I did read some people actually will put a humidifier in, but
that's a little too extreme. We don't want the whole.
No, I think a damp box might solve, especially for the mug handles. That would be a good thing to try.
Now, as far as making stuff, that's about all I really made. You made some really cool things too, and you made a couple of different things.
I did. I made lots and lots of things last week. And one of the things I made, we hadn't had tumblers in a while, and so I made a nice, this would hold a nice glass of iced tea. So I did that. Now, of course, being a hand-built tumbler, you know, the inside is always going to be slightly wonky as it dries, but I did keep it upside down on the bat, and after we're done here, I'll turn it back upside down on the bat again. It just kind of being upside down helps it hold its shape a little bit better than if it dries with it up in the air. It doesn't go quite as wonky. So I have 4 of those, and I have this nice little filigree texture on them.
I will definitely show closer pictures.
I was in a texture mood last week, so I think almost everything I did had texture. So I also made some of the fat mugs. I don't know what else to call them.
Big mugs.
They have that little bulge here, but I like that shape, and it's really pretty, but they hold a lot of coffee. So.
Yeah, that's a 16-ounce cup.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
it is.
bigger than my cup.
And then you talked about the sugar bowls. Well, I do have an example of my sugar bowl here. This is one that I did that also has that nice little round bulge, but look at the cute lid. I like that.
And you put a gallery on the inside, so the lid is recessed.
It is. On other ones that I did, it was not. It was on the lid itself, so the lid had a foot, so it wouldn't slide off. So I tried to do different styles so that the folks that came, you know, they had their choice of what they did. I also made this. I did this during the sugar bowl class, but I told the folks, I said, I'm just going to make mine as a jar this time. So I have turtle texture here, and then here's the lid, and how we were talking about how it has a foot on the bottom. But my little knob is a turtle.
Is a turtle, and you'll see a better picture of that in a moment.
So I'm happy with him. I just think he's so cute.
Nice.
The other thing that I did last week was I really had a good time making little owls.
Yeah, the
Yes.
owls.
And I've been trying, guys, to use up all of the scraps of clay that I can as I'm using a slab, so that we don't have as much to deal with reclaim.
We're finding ourselves swamped in little bits of clay that we have to reclaim. And what we're finding is that reclaiming it takes more time than we want it to. It actually costs us money to do the reclaim.
Right.
So we're trying to keep the clay from getting to that stage, if at all possible.
And that's, you know, I was using up a little bit of clay that I had left. You know, I would keep it wet, wet in with plastic over it. And another thing that I did with some of the extras, I was rolling out the mugs and stuff. I would have a strip, and it already had the texture on it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make some nice little fancy napkin rings.
Nice.
So I've made napkin rings this week too. And just to top it all off, here is that texture, that same
because
texture.
you haven't been doing enough.
I haven't been doing enough texture, huh? But I did it on one of my little saucers. But I decided I wanted the edge of the saucer to be a little deeper. So I made a template, a scallop template, and I have a set of china in the house that actually was my great-great-grandmother's.
Wow.
And she had this really fancy scallopy edge. But I needed mine to be really wider, so I just kept going around and around and around with the marker until it got big enough. I'm sure there was a different way to do that, but that was my way.
It worked. Yep, yeah. It worked.
You know, you do what you have to do.
Now, I see some strange shaped cups
Yes.
here. These cups are very weird. These cups.
Those are the Raku clay. And Carolyn, after working all day and us being at the market all day, calls and says, I'm coming over to help you guys make some things. So out to the studio we come.
Yep.
Saturday evening.
And Carolyn made some cute little horses.
These horses. I did the cats, but she did these horses.
And they are so cute,
Look
you guys.
at them. Can you just imagine when they get fired in the Raku kiln?
We need to find a way to add a little color to them with some
I love them.
chemicals or whatever to see if we can get them a little more colorful before we put the horsehair on it.
So I just think they're precious. So a lot was made.
And we also had a kiln opening.
Oh,
So
that's right.
hopefully you guys had a chance to see some of the stuff that came out of the kiln. But boy, howdy, we took it out of the kiln Friday morning.
Yes.
And we took a lot of that stuff with us to our market setup at Ocean City on Friday evening. And we sold much of the stuff that came out of the kiln that very morning. Like, I don't know if we've ever had pieces that we didn't even have in our possession
Right.
for 24 hours. But that was the case with many of the things. We sold lots of stuff from that kiln load that Friday evening. And then the very next day, some of the things sold first thing in the morning.
Yes.
So we didn't even have them for
My
a whole day.
leaf my platter, it was a large oval platter, and I had painted the leaves on it. That one went. The market wasn't even fully open when the market manager came over and bought that.
So I'll show you a picture of those things too, guys, just so you can see. Now, I do have a couple of survivors from the kiln opening on Friday. One thing that I want to talk about, we haven't taken it to the market yet because it's not assembled or completely finished. And that is this chime. This is going to be a wind chime. And the clanger for it right here will hang inside. And it's going to give this nice, beautiful ringing sound when the wind hits it just right. Now, before I do that, though, before I hang it, I have to clean the bottom a little bit and sand it, round the edge off just a little bit. This is notable because this only had a single fire on it. We have another one that, now that this worked, will do the same thing, but there's another one behind my shoulder over here, and it's just green clay. It's leather hard. It's completely, well, actually, it's not even leather hard. It's bone dry now. And if we paint our stroke and coat glaze on it and then put it in the kiln, we can completely skip the bisque firing stage. And it worked, so we're going to do that again.
Yes.
Now, the other thing that came out of the kiln was my rainbow bowl, and I am 90% happy with this one. I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. The reason I don't love it is because some of the colors ran a little bit. We painted a clear glaze on top of the stroke and coat, and I think that caused it to run a little bit in a couple spaces or a couple places. And also, I'm not ecstatic about the purple. I feel like the purple got a little bit washed out, and maybe that was because of the clear glaze. But in any case, I am happy with this bowl, content with this bowl. I'm not going to like refire it or anything. But lesson learned for next time, we're going to try things a little bit different. It did turn out quite well, though. Lots of people showed an interest in it. Lots of people thought it looked good.
Right, and
I like it too.
Enjoyed listening to you talk about the process of
Right.
how you did it.
Because it was tape resist. And I'm not going to go through the whole spiel again, but I had to come up with this color orange myself because we didn't have an orange stroke and coat. So I had to mix some red and some yellow to get that orange. And then I used very narrow strips of masking tape on the bowl and then just glazed over it and then peeled the tape off. And it was mostly successful. I like that. Now,
Something to try again.
it is something to try again. Now, that's only a small bit of the things that came out of the kiln on Friday. I've got a couple of other pieces I would have liked to have shown you, but I just can't get to them. They're buried in our market crates. And then several pieces that sold that we can't really show you.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had a chance to see the kiln opening from a couple days ago, go ahead and take a peek at that. That'll give you a better idea of what came out. Yep. Now, so what else?
Alrighty. Well, we had a question asked of us also while we were at the market.
And this is going to be our question of the week.
Yes, so this will be our question. Diamond, who works at the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, asked, would you be able to explain how making pottery fits into the education category of STEM or STEAM?
Right. So before I was an art teacher, I was a middle school science teacher. So now I know all about STEM and STEAM. Now, STEM is an acronym for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and it was an initiative to push these subjects in school so that students would get experience doing some of the really fun, awesome things with technology and with science and mathematics and engineering. And in that vein, as a middle school science teacher, we built robots and flew drones and used 3D printing and did all kinds of stuff with STEM. And a little bit later, they realized that I say they, whoever makes up these acronyms, discovered the need to put the arts in there somehow. And so they put the other letter, the A, in. So we have STEAM, and the A stands for art, music or visual arts or whatever. In this case, we're talking about visual arts. And Diamond was wondering how the making of pottery fits in with the science and the technology aspect. So let me give you a real quick, for instance. About 10 years ago, I used a classroom 3D printer to print this stand in front of me. This blue stand is actually a tablet holder. It holds an iPad. I suppose you could use it for a phone or something, but it's made for holding a tablet. And then last year, I decided to take that idea and turn it into a ceramic model. So what you see here is an octopus tentacle tablet holder that was my first prototype that I figured out how to make from 3D printing it first. So I'm not happy enough with this to sell it, but we have every time this comes out at a market, we use it to hold our iPad mini as our point of sale device. So when we're ringing people up, this holds the tablet for us. It actually is a useful thing. It's not meant for really for display, and it's not meant for somebody to purchase. But somebody always does see it, and they have always asked when they can buy one like it. Well, they can't buy this particular one because it's a little bit wonky and a little bit wobbly. As a prototype, it's not well balanced. And when this was drying, the clay flexed a little bit, so I had to about rebalance it with using hot glue on the bottom and all this other boring stuff you don't really want to know about. But what you do maybe want to know about is that 3D printing can be used to model things or to pre-prototype things that we do here in the Pottery Studio. In fact, I have 2 3D printers now that I'm very anxious to start using for making tools and texture rollers and molds and models for the stuff that we're going to be 3D printing. In fact, my next big purchase is probably going to be a ceramic 3D printer that squirts out clay in layers and lets you 3D print things that you could never make by hand. It lets you 3D print very complex ceramic shapes with inner chambers and things like that. Think about musical instruments that you can actually have different chambers inside of them because of the 3D printing method.
I see.
Those things are pretty expensive, pretty pricey. It's about 10 grand. So I won't be getting one.
It's going to be a while, guys.
No time soon.
But goals, you know.
But goals, exactly. 3D printing fits in very well with what we do here in the studio. But there's not, aside from that, there are so many other applications. Pottery is really all about experimentation and doing things over and over until you perfect your process. And you don't get any more sciencey than the rock cycle. And a pottery studio is basically just the rock cycle in miniature. So they tie very well together. The science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. It's all tied into the pottery studio. And with
glazes, you've got chemistry
and the ratios, the mathematics of the ratios. That's very, very important. And the
shrinkage.
That's right.
The shrinkage, is a percentage of, from what the clay is when you build it to what it'll be when it's a finished thing.
And every clay is different.
So many things can be covered while you're making pottery.
If you're making things out of clay, and this one kind of clay has a 12% shrink rate, and this other clay has an 11% shrink rate, and you're trying to blend them in together, if you don't get them blended perfectly, then you're going to have cracks where the clay pieces join together. Right. So anyway, it ties in very closely with what we do.
Yes.
So good question, Diamond. Thank you very much for asking. And incidentally, it was a pleasure meeting you if you're watching this. Yes. Diamond came up to our market table at Shinkatig, and it was just an absolute pleasure to talk with. We talked for
and
a
then she
while.
got one of our little heart dishes to use for her tea bags, and she was so wanting to see one of those tea infusers. So I told her, I said, I'll make sure I get some glazed.
Right. Yeah,
she's a big tea lover.
Yep. We have lots of things happening. So anyway, thanks for the question, Diamond. I hope that answers it. And contact us. Anybody, contact us if you want more information about how science and art can go together here in the Pottery Studio.
Definitely. Alrighty. Well, let's get ready to move on to next week, which is already started because
we're going to gloss over yesterday. Yesterday was a time. We're not going to talk too much about it, but holy cow, I never felt so old in my whole life as I felt yesterday. But then I was thinking about it, and that's okay because I never have been as old as I was when I was thinking that. So that's okay.
The important thing is we're alive.
We're alive. We
We're
made
alive.
it. We cleaned out the garage, and who knew it would be such a dangerous proposition?
Yes.
But I tweaked my back doing something, hauling on a sandbag or whatever, and Diana fell outside, and she got all scraped up. Holy cow, you guys, I didn't think we would survive.
Yes, so if you see us like kind of moving around a little bit more than usual or grimacing, you'll understand.
We're actually in a little bit of pain, but fortunately, Tylenol does make a coffee creamer, and we're using that in our coffee. No, they don't really, but man, they should.
Don't. Shouldn't they, though?
Any engineers from Tylenol, if you're watching this broadcast, please make sure you work on a Tylenol-infused coffee creamer.
Yes,
You'll
that
be
would
rich,
be
I
nice.
promise.
Yes, because you were actually saying this morning, man, we're going to have to start buying some smaller bottles of creamer.
Small bottles of creamer,
this
right.
creamer's too heavy this morning.
I felt old, you guys. Anyway, so that happened yesterday. Now, this coming week, we have lots of stuff going on as well.
Tomorrow evening, so we're trying to kind of take it easy because tomorrow evening we have a class coming in.
Which will be a joy.
We have 10 4-H kids coming in to make bird feeders with us. And so we're looking forward to that. They came last year and did play with us.
Did they do
also.
mugs?
We did. Yes. We did a pinch pot and some did mugs, some did vases. So
it'll be great.
Yes, and they'll do a little sculpture too along with this because we have them for about an hour and a half, and then they'll come back 2 weeks later. So we have to get everything dried and bisked, so that when they come back 2 weeks later, they're going to be doing their glazing.
Nice.
So we're looking forward to that. It's always a fun time. And a lot of the folks, I asked for a roster, and I recognized most of the kids' names.
Oh, great. So, it'll be good to see those kids again.
Yes, it's always wonderful.
And we're starting, now that's Tuesday. Wednesday, we're starting up our very first Wednesday market appearances at the Chincoteague Farmers and Artisans Market.
Yeah, we're already doing the Saturday one, but from now to the end of September, we're also doing the Wednesday one. So, we're taking it easy, guys.
Yeah. So taking it easy. We're slacking.
So
we may get a Raku firing out this week if we can get these guys bisked. And I've got a couple of things behind me drying also that need to be bisked.
Well, I know we do want to get a bisque load in, but I'm just trying to make sure that everything is as bone dry as can be. There probably will end up being a glaze load going in, even if it's not a full load.
We sold so many pieces, you guys.
So
we got to get more stuff glazed.
It's almost like we have to have a glaze load every week right now in order to keep up. So that's a concern.
Well, our math is if we're selling 40 pieces per week and our kiln holds 40 pieces, that's about what we got to do.
Anyway, but we have some family members who have offered their services to come out and either help make some pieces or help do some glazing. So we might end up having to cash in those
those social chips.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
So in fact, today I probably am going to be glazing some more of our bisqueware, simply because if I'm glazing, I'm not doing a whole lot of things.
Picking up and carrying.
Yes, because right now I still have a little bit of swelling in my wrist and stuff, and so I don't really feel the best for actually working with the clay, but I can do the glazing, so I'll do that today. And then, the other thing I need to do, we talked about the mug, and people are loving the mugs, but what we're noticing, people want small mugs. There used to be a thing, people wanted huge.
Great big,
mugs.
huge chunky mugs.
Yeah, and so this mug holds 16 ounces, and a lot of our other mugs, our smaller mugs will hold like the 10 or 8.
People are actually asking for mugs of about this size.
Yes.
They're actually asking for slightly smaller mugs.
I was thinking I need to make a hand-built template for maybe 10 ounces.
Right.
Because it's just, this is too big for some people. As they said, you know, their coffee will get cold before they could ever drink that amount. You know, not everybody glugs it down.
And I think it's important to have a variety.
Yes.
Everybody seems to like seeing different things. And one of the mugs that I made that was snapped up right away was one that was in the shape of this one. It was shaped like this with a thin, delicate handle. And this is small, like this is tiny. But that was snapped up by a lady that was going to use it for, I think she was going to use it for tea, as a teacup. And this is the kind of thing.
Interested in tea.
Yep. This is the kind of thing that we need to make sure we're making stuff that people like.
Yeah.
So why not make a variety of stuffs?
Yeah. Yep. So what were you planning on for this week that you need to?
Definitely some dog bowls, because oh my goodness, so many doggos at our market appearances at Shindig. And I want to have one big bowl out for the dogs to drink from. But then, you know, people might want to see a dog bowl. They might want to buy one. And why not have some out there? You know, we could glaze them or, you know, with, you know, kind of dog themed designs, paw prints or bones or something.
Yeah.
And who knows? One thing, lesson learned though, is if we're going to do that, we have to make sure we're using light colored glazes, because anything that's dark sitting in the sun gets hot very quickly. Very quickly.
Yeah, and we have certain dogs that come and visit us every week.
Right, we've got regulars. I don't remember the owners very much, but the dogs I definitely remember. We've got this one Rottweiler puppy. We're watching him grow up.
Yes.
Over the last 3 weeks, he's getting a little bit taller every time.
He's 13 weeks old now, and his legs were getting taller, and I get to get my little bit of a rub in on him and every week, and they're doing such a good job making sure that he's socialized.
Right.
So
we enjoy our market appearances big time. So
we do.
This coming week, we've got the Wednesday market and the Saturday market. We did miss, backing up a little bit, we did miss going to our first Friday appearance at Snow Hill because we were in Ocean City. We can't really be two places at one time. Although in retrospect, we probably could have.
But I really don't want to split up and do that because that's not fun for me.
Yeah, it's not really.
We like doing it together.
Yeah, it's not as much fun. We may get to the point where we have to do that. We're not there yet though.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd rather not get there.
I'd rather not. Rather not. All right, what else do we have kicking next week?
Alrighty. Oh, Connie, I was able to find a lady, I guess about 20 minutes from us, that had service berries. So I went over and I picked the service berries. I washed them when I got home. Then we laid them out flat in a tray and froze them. So this week my intention is to make that service berry
pie.
So looking forward to that. And we're going to be doing our map update, folks, next week. And so I know we have a few new viewers, and I promise you next week we'll get your pins in. But if you have not already told us where you're from in the world, please do, because it just brings me so much joy to know where you're at.
It will stick a pin
in the map. Yes, we'll stick a pin in the map for you. So looking forward to seeing some new places on our map. We did make our order to the ceramic shop. We haven't been contacted yet by them that it's ready to be picked up or anything. And I hate to say this, I'm kind of hoping it is not ready for pickup this week.
I don't want to sling 1,000 pounds of clay.
Yes, I don't think we're up to that. So I'm kind of hoping that they don't tell us it's ready until next week. That would be okay with me. However, I will say, because we don't have that order yet, a lot of my very favorite glazes have kind of dwindled in the bottles until they're non-existent. So when I do my glazing this
week, we're going to see some different funky colors.
We're going to see some of the ones that I haven't used a lot of, and that's why the bottles are still full. So we'll see how that works.
You're going to be seeing some second string glazes, you guys.
Maybe they'll turn out to be wonderful.
Our bench warmer glazes will be making an appearance this week at Wocky Pots Studio.
Yeah, so that I think is pretty much it. And I don't know how we're going to, but we have to find some time to recuperate.
I don't know how. We're going to have to figure it out some way.
We are, because the universe is telling us, if you will not find balance, I will make you find balance.
The universe will impose balance if you don't find it yourself. And it would be much better for us if we decide when we're going to take a break and take it easy, rather than the universe forcing us to take a break and take it easy. Because in order for that to happen, bad things have to happen. Like we have to hurt our back or fall down in the yard or something. So we don't want that to happen. Yeah. We need to make ourselves take it easy and rest a little bit. We are retirees, you know.
Wow.
I've never worked this hard in my whole life, you guys. No lie. Teaching was an absolute joy, and while I was teaching, I thought it was hard work. It was easy compared to what we're doing here.
Well, this is now our passion.
That's right.
And you give 110% to your passion.
Yep.
So.
And we're having a great time. We're really enjoying
are.
it. Anything else we need to talk about?
No, that is it. I hope everybody has a wonderful week.
Yes, please do hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell icon to be notified of new content. We really appreciate you watching. For now, let's go ahead and sign it out. Mm-hmm. So, toodaloo, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care. See you later. Have a fantastic day, no matter where you're at. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.